Hi everyone, I am Linda Navarro and I wanted to talk today about a very delicate topic. This is the month of domestic violence, and uh, we have been asked to just kind of give a little story about our past, or talk about what we think about domestic violence. So, I do come from a past of uh, verbal abuse, mental abuse, and physical abuse. That being said, I was married for I think like 10 years. I got married at a very young age. I think I was 18, which is still over the limit, but I'm still mentally young. Um, so I want to talk about the signs of what to look for someone that is new in a relationship, maybe someone that's shy, is not very outspoken. Um, there's a couple red flags that we as women and men, because it's not just women that get abused, um, that you should look for. So one of them is asking asking for permission from another adult, another person, right? You're in a relationship, you're both adults. Um, if you feel like you have to ask for permission to do stuff, um, the relationship starts turning into kind of like a father figure, or a superior, someone superior than you. And then the other person, whether it's the husband or wife, starts having that power. You're giving them that power of, oh, okay, well, she has to ask me. Okay, well, she does have to ask me before she goes anywhere, because, it's like a sign of respect or something. But it's not like that, you guys. It's the respect is, you come to your partner, you say, hey, the girls and I would like to go out. Is this date good for you? Versus, hey, can I go out with my friends? And then they ask you, well, where are you going? What time are you going to come back? And so it's like, when you start getting asked questions like that, and it's okay to ask those questions, but it's the way the person comes across. So if your demeanor, the tone is just very, aggressive and versus concerning, um, you have to tell the difference of those two. Um, Asking for a list of your friends' names and where they live, it's a little bit extreme. That's another red flag. Um, if the person, like, you haven't even gone out, right? You're just trying to set up time to go out with some friends, and then the husband or the wife says, well, if you don't come back at this time, I'm going to divorce you, and or you better do this or you better do that. So that starts bringing in the role of manipulation. Like, just remember that I take care of you. Remember who loves you. Remember who you come home to. Those are all signs of manipulation. You shouldn't have to be reminded of who you come home to. You obviously are with that person because you love them, or you think you love them, because sometimes love can be very confusing. Some people take getting hit, being manipulated, being talked down to, as a form of someone loving you. Um, but it's not. It's just, it's very degrading, and it really brings down the self-esteem of a person. So, um, ladies, just, if you do feel that you're in that type of relationship, it's probably not the healthiest. Like I said, there's a million people out there in the world, and you can't stay in a unhealthy relationship like that, because if you do, you start digging the hole for yourself. And once you start digging that hole, what happens is that person that's with you starts isolating you. And you have your group of friends that were all here. Everybody was friends in the beginning, and then little by little your circle becomes small, and your friends start being put out in the circle, and then your friends think it's your fault, and then now you don't have anybody, and now it's just you and that person. And that person is always going to say, well, you're nothing without me. You can't do this without me. Who's going to love you? Who's going to love you with all them kids? So it's like, again, a form of manipulation. When the relationship starts becoming, more aggressive, then the person also starts becoming, what's the word? They start rebelling. And some rebel, like myself, and others will just take it until they completely are broken. And once they're broken, it's really hard to get that person back. But when you become rebellious, like myself, you tend to be outspoken, and then there becomes a lot of verbal confrontation. And most of the time, your children hear that and they don't understand it. They're very frightened. But then it becomes to the point where the verbal it'll escalate to hitting. And so, like myself, I don't back down. And so, now you're in a confrontation where now you're fighting with your spouse, or you're fighting with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but you're physically having an altercation with that person. It's no longer verbal. So you have to know, and first of all, you have to love yourself. And I think that a lot of people miss that part, is before you go out in the dating game and then meeting this person, that person, you have to know what your worth is, and you have to know that you have to tell yourself that you love yourself. You have to tell yourself that you're beautiful. You have to put yourself up here. I'm not saying you have to be conceited and you have to tell everybody that you're the most beautiful woman in the world. No, in your own mind, you are top. You are the best. You are beautiful. You have something to bring to the other person, because when you feel that way about yourself, no one can bring you down. As much as they try, they will not bring you down. So that being said, because I got married at such a young age, I come from a Hispanic family. Women are not really allowed to do much. The men get to go and party, they get to go do this, they get to go do that, have a million girlfriends. Well, when the women come into play, we're not allowed to have boyfriends. Everything is strict. We're not allowed to go have fun with our friends. We can't go out and go to a club. Everything has to be sneaking out. So, unfortunately, that's what ended up happening to me. I ended up dating this gentleman, and we ended up getting pregnant, and it forced me into having to use it as an outlet to get out of my parents' house. And not because my parents' house was horrible, it was just because I was a young adult that wanted to do whatever she wanted to do, and my parents were not having it. So for me, this was just kind of like a way out, but it really wasn't what I wanted. But I didn't know otherwise. So I ended up, not forcefully getting married, but being pushed to that. Like, both our parents on each side of the family were like, okay, you guys got pregnant, you have to get married. It wasn't like, oh, you should go move out together and see how it works out. Maybe you could co-parent. None of that. It was never spoken to us. It was get married, have a family, and go live your life. So because that happened the way it happened, we are still at such a young mentality that, we both want to party, we both want to do this, but yet my ex-husband decided he was going to continue partying, and I was going to be a stay-home mom, or not a stay-home mom, I was a working mom, but I was going to stay home, feed the kids, feed him, take care of him, wash the dishes, wash his laundry. I mean, basically just run the whole household on top of, working my own job as well. And when we would go out, it was go sit in the corner, don't talk to any of my friends, don't associate with them. And people that know me, like my family, my sisters, my friends, they know who I really am, and they know that I'm like this bubbly person. I have a fun personality. I'm outgoing. I talk to everybody. I mean, I'm just super friendly. And little by little, my personality started changing where I would sit in the corner. I wasn't allowed to get up and go dance, even though that's how he met me, is dancing, go-getter, having fun. But he just completely changed me. And I became depressed. I almost committed, I wanted to commit suicide. Ended up in the hospital because of that. So it was just such an impact in my life. And I had at the time two kids. And I just would think to myself, I don't want this for my children. Who says it has to be like this? Like, who made the rules that I have to be like this? So throughout my marriage, I started going back to school, and I wanted to become a nurse. But I didn't have the support because he was too busy drinking and partying. And I mean, I would take my books with me while we all partied, and people couldn't believe I was actually studying. I mean, I had to pass all these classes to get into a nursing program, but, while going to school for the nursing program and having this horrible marriage that I was in, I felt like I was in prison, and my outlet was work, but then work was horrible because they discriminated and they harassed me at work, for I don't even know what reason. I don't know if it's because I was Hispanic. I don't know if it's because I was becoming educated and I was going to go for my nursing license and to become a nurse. So it was just like everything was hitting me all at once. And I mean, I just had so many breakdowns. I didn't have a lot of friends because, of course, that I got alienated from my friends, and the group of friends that we did have, I wasn't allowed to talk to the wives because then we would find out what the guys were doing. So it was just such a nightmare. And to see my kids' faces, every time we get into a confrontation, it was really sad. So I ended up getting to my breaking point. I had a friend she knows me so well. She watched me day after day live this horrendous marriage, and it got to the point where we ended up fist fighting, and because I just didn't back down, and I fought him, which was didn't think about it at the time, but it was the stupidest thing I could have ever done. But I did it. It was done. I wanted to call the cops on him, but of course I didn't because I was scared and because I was trying to save my family and my marriage. And I let another, I think about a year and a half, 2 years go by, thinking that, okay, I can make it work and it's my fault and I should do this and I should do that. It was never him. It was always me. I would put the blame on me. So my friend finally told me, I can't do this anymore. She says, I watch you every single day and you look so sad and I can't stand seeing you like that anymore. I can't help you. I want to be there for you. My door's always open for you, but I can't help you anymore. So at that point, I was like literally on my own. I didn't really want to go to my parents. My sisters didn't understand. They were still too young. And I was in a city where I was by myself. I had no family, no friends, except for my friends at work. So I decided enough was enough. I can't do this anymore. And I don't know, of course, because I'm so verbal, we ended up having a confrontation again. And he literally just backhanded me so hard. I fell on the bed. And he told me, don't get up and try to fight me because I'll put you right back down. And my kids were in the other room. And I just grabbed my kids and I left. And he called the cops on me, which is, I didn't call the cops on him. I was afraid to call the cops because I didn't want my kids to see their dad get taken away. But that was the biggest mistake I could have done. Please don't be afraid to call the cops. You have to call the cops. I regretted every single day of my life that I didn't. I ended up on the street with my two children, and I think I called one of our friends that was a mutual friend, which didn't really help. She came to get me, and then she ended up taking me back home. And right when I got home, the only thing I said was, "We're done. It's over. You will never touch me again. You will never hit me again." And he looked at me and he said, "I didn't hit you." And at that moment, I thought, this guy is fucking crazy. He literally believed that he didn't hit me. And I was just like amazed of how someone can actually embed that in their mind and actually believe it. So at that point, I thought, oh, this has gone too far. And I was in my 30s by then, and I thought, this is it. We're done. So we ended up actually didn't want to go through court, and we ended up going through a notary place where they notarize stuff, they divorce you, and then they submit all the paperwork. And we both went together and we filed for divorce, just because we didn't have a lot of money, so we were trying to save money. But at the same time, during that filing that paperwork, I was so shaken up. I was so depressed. He still managed to manipulate me. He told me, this is my money, this is your money. You're not going to ever touch any of my money. If you try to come after my money, I will get you for child support when you become a nurse. So again, threatening me. And of course, I believed it. He probably would have never been able to, but I believed it only because I did have a friend that was a nurse, and her ex-husband did take her for child support. So I did believe it. It has happened. So I thought, you know what? I'm strong. I'm a strong woman. I have a great job. I don't need anything from him. I just want my children, and I just want to go. I don't care where I go. I just want to go. I want to do it on my own. I'm not going to call my family for help. And so that's what I did. I signed the paperwork. He gave me nothing. We did a 50-50 split every other week. We got the kids. It was the best thing I could have ever done in my entire life. And why it took me 10 to 12 years to figure it out, I have no idea. It was because I was insecure. It was because I thought no one was going to love me. And I know there's a lot of women out there like that. And I have so many family members right now, all my female cousins that are all going through divorces. And all I could do is be there for them and tell them that the grass is greener on the other side. And no, it might not be, fairy tales and, unicorns on the other side, but it's better than what you have. And it's better to be alone than to be with someone that's going to just degrade you and put you down and make you feel like you're worthless. It's the best feeling ever to have to get out of that and to learn to love yourself again. And that's something it took me so many years to understand. And now I'm at a better place where I didn't intentionally want to meet anybody. I was actually really anti-man. I hated my race. I did want nothing to do with dating anybody that it was my race. I didn't even want to date men. For a second, I was attracted to women. Now I don't date women. So it was just a very confusing, emotional time in my life. But I don't regret going through it because of everything that I've went through. It's made me who I am now. And now it's showed my two older children what it takes to survive in this world. And mind you, they didn't know anything that had happened. So they still don't know. Why should I tell them? Why should I hurt them to tell them? They will learn on their own. They will see what kind of father they have. And them as adults will figure out what type of relationship they want to have with their father. Um, and they are seeing that. So now I know what I'm worth. I know that, when I was dating, it was really scary. Dating, I have to say, I really hated it. Um, the first guy that I met ended up being a stalker. And I mean, I have friends that have been single for years and they couldn't believe that I had a stalker. Um, and it lasted for about 3 years. It was the most horrible time of my life again because not only did I go through a horrible divorce, of mental, verbal, physical abuse, but then I end up dating this person that you think was somebody that would keep you safe, someone that was part of the church, someone that you think that you could trust, and all of a sudden he snaps just like that, and you missed all the red flags. You missed all the, yeah, I don't want you hanging out with your family anymore. When I get home from work, I want you to be there. Make sure that my food's done. It just like, it didn't, even after all of that with my marriage, it still didn't click. And I was so mad because I saw the red signs and I still didn't walk away. I dealt with that person for 1 year and that person stayed in my life for 4 years because he wouldn't leave me alone. He didn't know how to leave me alone. I mean, it got to the point where my personal property was destroyed. He tried to kill me several times. Um, I had to carry knives around with me, not knowing even how to use them. Um, I didn't know anything about self-defense because it wasn't available to us. Um, I was even told by officers to, you should get a gun. I couldn't afford one. The test was free to take, but I couldn't afford to get a gun. And then during that whole time, I ended up working at a place where I met a friend who is now my husband, but it all like kind of happened just spontaneous because I didn't plan on dating anybody. I was dealing with some horrible stuff with stalking that everybody found was hilarious, which I didn't even understand that. Every time I told everybody I was being stalked, people would laugh. They thought it was a joke. And then when I really would start talking about it, it's like their face just kind of like, okay, she's serious. Like, is that for reals? Like, it was just like a movie or something. Like, no, why would anybody do that? Why would anybody try to kill you? Why would anybody try to set up your vehicle so the brakes don't work? Like, what is their purpose? But it's real. It's absolutely real. And I even had to go to court. During that whole time, I ended up meeting my husband now, and he was like the best friend I could have ever had at that moment. He was the only one that didn't walk away from me. Everybody else that I was dating, I would mention stalker and, oh, bye. No, I don't date. I don't date people with baggage. I don't date people that got crazy people trying to kill them. I don't want anything to do with that. Like, they were so quick to just leave. And it hurt me. It hurt me a lot because it forced me to have to go back to my ex-husband and tell him the situation. And luckily, he understood my situation. Literally, mind you, he blamed me for it. It was my fault that I had a stalker. So that didn't help. But in the sense of protecting our children, he was 110% there and had my back in that sense. So, with my ex-husband, protecting us with our children, protecting my children more than me, and then having, my future husband being there as a friend without any obligations, without anything, it's like, I owe him just my heart because of it. I don't literally owe him anything, but I know that he did it out of his heart. He didn't do it because he was trying to hook up with me. He didn't do it because, he wanted or needed anything from me. He did it because he was a good person. And I thank him every single day for sticking by me, because of him teaching me how a man thinks and what men, how they don't think, should I say, because men don't think sometimes. It helped me understand the difference of a woman's mentality versus a man's mentality. Things that women think are like, are very important, can care less about. So in that sense, I didn't take it so, I started not taking things so personally. And I think with that, it all helped me. I ended up having two beautiful babies with this gentleman, marrying him, and it was probably not the way it was supposed to be. I don't know why it happened that way, but I thank God every single day that he came into my life. And now I talk about it. I talk about my experience. I'm not embarrassed of what happened. I'm not embarrassed that I tried to take my life. I'm not embarrassed that I got hit. I'm not embarrassed that I stood up for myself. I'm not embarrassed to talk about how I was, manipulated and, talked down to. Like, I'm not embarrassed to share that with people, because I know there's millions of women out there that go through it. And now I'm part of a wonderful, surrounded by a wonderful group of women that were introduced to me through my husband's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And this wonderful lady teaches self-defense to women for free. And when I heard about that, I was like, free, like, it's free. It's emotional because, I didn't have that. I didn't have that support of women. I didn't have the support from my family. And I didn't want to rely again on a man to help me, to save me. And so when I went, my husband told me about this lady. She was putting out a self-defense class, and it was just very emotional to go to it. And I went by myself. I really didn't want to go by myself. I didn't know anybody, but I went by myself, and it was the best experience that I ever had. What I experienced was just amazing, because it was real women talking about their experience, and I didn't feel alone. It was like over, I want to say about 60 to 100 women in that room, and everyone had a story. Everybody there has a story, and if they didn't have a story, they were learning about other people's stories. So it was really, like, hard to, if they were to, like, ask me questions, I know I would probably start bawling, because all of it's, we as women hold everything inside, and it's such a relief to have to, not to have to, but like to talk about it. You relive it every time you talk about it. So I'm so grateful, for this lady that put this program together. Why she did it, she's so, what's the word? She's so, she cares so much about spreading the word and about making sure that, it's not being charged to women. It's an open door for women that are being hurt, that are being assaulted, that are being raped, that are being taken for trafficking. I mean, there's just so many things, and I went to her classes. They were amazing. I love the fighting part about it. I love the workout about it. We got to work out, and really, it's a lot of conditioning. You got a big guy on top of you. You better learn how to get out of it and run. So things like that, it will come back to you. It's muscle memory. So for me, I personally recommend it. I'm even signing up now as we speak to get my CCW, my gun license. And not only because of the experience that I've had, but because I work as a real estate agent, and I do open houses alone, even though you're not supposed to. But yeah, I'm by myself. I meet strangers, and I'm out there every single day risking my neck to show property. And people don't think about it. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna make money, go show them a property, blah blah blah." But honestly, like, who are you opening the door to? You're opening the door to a home where someone can just close the door, lock it, and now you're inside a house alone with a stranger, and you don't know what's gonna happen. So yes, take the self-defense classes. Yes, go and practice how to use a gun. Go and practice how to take a knife lessons, because if you carry a knife and you don't know how to use it, they will turn it on you. So please, ladies, I'm just sharing with you. It's real. It's out there. There are a lot of evil people out there. Um, Watch your surroundings at all times. Don't let people put you down. Stay strong to yourself. Love yourself. And like I said, I think that the class that this lady puts on, I don't want to say any names because I'm not sure I can say any names on here. So, I'm sure she's going to share the story, and she will share the name of the business that she runs, and the classes that she has to offer. And like I said, it's not just self-defense classes, it's Krav Maga, and Krav Maga is like a military self-defense class. There's Filipino self-defense, Filipino martial arts, which is, a lot of sticks, fighting, and which comes into play with knife fighting. So it's all together. So I highly recommend it. Please, ladies, don't feel like you're out there all alone. You are not alone. I'm always open to talk to anybody that just wants to get anything out. I'm always here. My door is always open. My phone is always available to talk to someone. So I just wanted to share my story with you, ladies and gentlemen, because I know sometimes, we women can be a little crazy. And gentlemen, some gentlemen do get abused mentally and physically as well. So please share your stories, guys, because this is the only way that we can spread the word on how to protect yourself, how to love yourself, and how to protect others. So I hope you guys enjoyed my story, and like I said, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you guys. All right. Thank you guys for listening.